Welcome to the podcast. I could talk for... okay. No. All right. Welcome to the podcast. This is...
Mila.
And Ben. And this is I Could Talk Forever.
And ever.
And ever.
And ever.
A podcast where we find people that are passionate and let them talk about the things that they care deeply about. Today, we are sitting with Cale the Dude. Cale the Dude that is the only man to ever find a snipe in the woods.
Cale, the dude that gargles like a peacock with rocks in his throat.
Cale, a man that has never been blobbed.
Cale, who can leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Cale, the dude that kept an entire container of whipped cream in his freezer so he could whip cream pie me one time.
True story.
Cale, who was a very creepy wooden puppet.
Cale,
No context.
Cale, the only dude to rock a Pinocchio outfit and look cool while doing it.
I'm not sure he looked cool, but it was cool. It was a cool experience.
Cale, do you feel hyped up now?
Do I feel hyped up? No.
Nice. So we are sitting here with Cale Bishop. That is Mila's brother.
Yes. He is, in fact, my brother. That is true.
Biologically.
That's it. That's all you got.
I don't know. You're super cool and younger than me, so obviously he's not quite as cool as me. I'm just kidding. But he has been in like 7 plays, sorry. 4 musicals, 1 play, and 2 one-acts. The Little Mermaid, The Lion King.
I was not the Lion King.
No.
Ooh,
It was
corrected.
Aladdin. He was the Cave of Wonders. He was a lion.
He was the Cale of Wonders.
He was the Cale of Wonders.
Mila, have you had to sit through every single one of these plays?
I have. And Frozen was a little rough because Cale had exactly 1 line, and that was about it.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, Cale was supposed to be the bishop, but he wasn't the bishop, which is unfortunate.
Our last name is Bishop, by the way. But, yes, The Little Mermaid was his first, lead role because he was Sebastian, so obviously he's super cool.
Cale, we can't go through that without you giving us a Sebastian impression.
Yes, please. Sing Under the Sea.
No, I won't sing because that might take up too much time. But I will do one of the lines for you. This one killed at camp. Everybody loved it. It was very funny. A bunch of kids always asked me to do it. So, teenagers, give them an inch and they swim all over you.
Cale, how many hours have you practiced that line?
How many hours? I couldn't even begin to tell you because rehearsals just all blend together. But
Also, he practiced in his room for at least a month. Whenever she released the script, he was practicing that all the time, before he even got the part. So,
Cale, what's your opinion on choir?
what is my opinion on choir? It could be much better. I don't know how else to put it, but I wish it was a lot better because I love to sing, but the way it's put together, it's just not very fun.
All right, but it's good.
It's fine, yeah.
It's fine. So today we are talking about Cale's passion and the thing he could talk forever about, musicals. Cale, what has been your favorite part of musicals so far? What's that one moment, that one scene, that one thing that stands out to you?
So I'm going to be honest with you. The best part about musicals is that moment when everything is just going crazy at one time because that causes the most memories, it causes the best learning experience, and also it just has the most bonding between people, which is always the best part about a show. Because when you can learn something about the show, it's amazing because then it's probably not going to suck as bad as it would have before. Because you're like, oh, if we do that, then this is going to happen, and it's just going to be absolute chaos.
So this is the good kind of chaos we're talking about right now.
Yes, I wouldn't necessarily not good chaos, but beneficial chaos.
Beneficial chaos. I'm going to steal that term. Student ministries, what is it? Beneficial chaos. What is chaos? Beneficial chaos.
there's no other way to describe that. That is perfect.
That's pretty good.
Okay, what does beneficial chaos look like during a play? Is this during practice? Is this while the scenes are going on when you're in front of parents and all your loved ones?
So most of the time, it's not too beneficial when it's in front of the whole audience, but sometimes it can be. Like at our second showing of Shrek, I don't know if you know this or not, but so what happened was Farquaad's tower fell over. Well, he was still on top of it, and he hurt his wrist. So that, I guess you could say, helped us learn to not bump the tower and move it backwards. But at the same time, it was like, that didn't ever need to happen in the first place. So I think that most of the time, this beneficial chaos is more of during a rehearsal. Because it's like usually people are just like throwing jokes out one and another, and it's not supposed to be that way. And then everything's just like going to shambles. Like things are falling over, like people are yelling and like dying, and like somebody misses a line, they fall over. It's just all this kind of stuff just happens at different times, and it's just like, okay, so now we know what not to do.
It's just a lot of learning through failure.
Pretty much.
So how far of a fall was that Farquaad Tower?
I don't know. So it was taller than Xavier, and I think he's about like 6 feet. Xavier's Farquaad, by the way. So I think it was maybe like 7 feet tall, maybe.
Dude, that is a fall.
Yeah.
That
Is
is
this
like
all crafted by high schoolers?
Yes, it was 100% crafted by our high school stage crew, with some help from a teacher, but it was mostly by the drills and screws of middle schoolers. I mean, not middle schoolers, high schoolers. My
I
bad.
just imagine like a bunch of really amped up high schoolers that just drink a lot of Monster with a nail gun. Just boo, 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 boo. It's ready, Mr. Sorensen.
It's a miracle that they didn't fall over sooner.
And it's so weird hearing that this beneficial chaos is taking part every day. How long has it played? I'm just going to call it a season because that's the only way I can comprehend what it is. How long is the play season from like day you get script, tryouts to final production?
It's about 3 months.
Dude, so you're talking like an entire sports like season.
Yeah, that's the main reason I'm not in sports, because I love being on stage so much that I'm just kind of like, it's not worth being in any sports.
It is your sport.
Yes. We've literally had conditioning.
Do they just make you run around the auditorium for
Yes.
a bit? That is rad.
Between all the seats.
This is very funny.
So with
Yeah.
all of this beneficial chaos, how does it help you grow as a person, as a Cale,
I mean, you've been doing these plays from like, what, 6th grade? As soon as you could start being in musicals and stuff. How has this interest developed?
Well, the main thing is, a part of both of those is the best part about musical, in my opinion, is the way that the community is built upon different things. And the beneficial chaos that we're talking about, it helps build the community of everybody, because even though like a bunch of stuff's going on that you don't want to happen, everybody's having a good time while it's happening, because like everybody's like falling over and stuff that I mentioned before, and everybody's just laughing about it. So it could cause like the cast to have better community, which always helps with the show, because then it makes the audience feel like you're disappearing into a different world, which definitely inspires me a lot, because I always want the audience to enjoy whatever I'm putting on for them. And I think that's what's made me grow, because the more I see the cast growing, the more I grow alongside them, and the more the audience gets to enjoy our show.
that is awesome. And as someone who has sat through, I think 3 of your musicals, you can really see that in the way that you guys put on your show. It's so much fun. I've never had more fun at a middle school musical than watching Cale beat Sebastian.
That was the best experience of my life. It was great.
It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
So you've done a lot of musicals, but you also have just started getting into plays. What is the difference there?
So you have 3 levels of like stage performances. The bottom level is plays, which is usually mostly spoken, but I mean there can be like a song in it. Like I was in Junie B. Jones in the fall.
It's not a song.
Well, I mean it was singing, even though it wasn't a song. There was singing. A part
Wait,
of it.
how can a song be a song that with singing. Wait,
Well,
what?
it was bad. Is the point? The song was bad. Like it was. I don't even know how to describe it. But anyways, so that's the bottom level. Is it's usually not based around music in usually any form. It's basically just characters talking to each other on stage. And then the next level above plays is musicals, which is my personal favorite because I love acting and singing. So I don't want to just be doing one the entire time. I like doing both. So that's what musicals are. They're a combination of both music and dialogue on stage. And then you have something like Hamilton, which might destroy a bunch of people with me saying this, but it's technically an opera, which I learned from Mila, which means...
Cale, you're getting really controversial on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's true. I don't know what else to say. We got to keep it real here.
What makes it an opera?
Well, what makes it an opera is they're singing or doing music things the entire time, which means there's no dialogue, even though it might be a little controversial because it's rap music, so they're still talking anyways, but it's still songs, and it's songs throughout the entire thing. That's what makes it an opera, is there's not really any dialogue between characters. It's just singing.
It's a play.
To tell the story.
Music.
Yes.
Huh. I learned a lot today. Wow.
Yeah, it's a spectrum, except kind of, sort of, nada.
So it's like a pyramid.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So, Cale, you take part in most Americans' fear. Cale, you take part in most Americans' greatest fear of speaking on stage. How do you work up the confidence to dress in a Pinocchio outfit and dance on stage? How did you get to that point?
So, before, I'm just going to walk you through, like, my journey in the musical program, because that's the only way that I can help describe it. So, like Mila said, I started in 6th grade whenever I was given the opportunity to play in Aladdin. And I had no idea what an audition looked like. I was terrified, and I was just like, but I still want to do this because it looks like it's going to be fun. So that's number one, is just try it anyways, even if you don't know if you want to do it. So I went in and I auditioned, and I got callbacks my first year. And as a 6th grader, there's like no way you're going to get a lead or anything unless you're like knocking it out of the park. And even then, you're probably still not going to get a lead. So I put on my thing, because I honestly didn't know, because there's a slip that they give you for each audition. You're supposed to put on like 3 of the roles you want. And I put Iago, Genie, in the Cave of Wonders, because I didn't really know what other character I might have wanted at that point, because let's just say that my dreams were small, because I was in 6th grade, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet.
Cale was small, his dreams were small.
His voice was high.
But yes, I could sing soprano in 6th grade. It's
Now
a lot has changed since then, if you can't tell. So yeah, so then I got the Cave of Wonders, which made me very happy, because 4 lines as a 6th grader felt like a lot. And every single performance, I was terrified, because I was like, I'd never performed for people before, and it felt really weird.
Were
and
you
then
on stage as the Cave of Wonders, or behind the scenes when you were
both
giving your lines? Oh, rad.
So the behind the stage was definitely when the better lines came out. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it still was pretty good, and that definitely helped me for later on, but not the next year. Because so what happened was, they told me it was Frozen the year before, and I do not like that movie very much. So
You don't like Let It Go?
no, I despise that song with every fiber of my being.
Every single time that song plays, Cale goes into like a state where it looks like he's having an aneurysm, and he's very angry. And one time, he was at like a flea market, and the booth across from him was playing Let It Go on a loop all day. And he came home, and I've never seen this man more angry, more distraught. He was like visibly depressed, and he's like, I never ever want to hear that song again, which is very sad, because every single time we go to camp, Kobe Martin requests that song to be played at every single meal all the time, because why not? Because it's Frozen.
So all I'd say is Cale misses Wild Side a lot.
Yeah, so to put that in perspective, I was not motivated at all to do anything for musical, which is number 2. if you want to be able to do things for people, want to be able to do things for people, which I did not have my 7th grade year doing Frozen because I do not like Frozen. So I got a 1-line role, so I basically got demoted because I went from 4 lines to 1 line.
Oh,
And
ouch.
so I'm pretty sure there's one person, a part of the entire cast of Frozen, that actually enjoyed that show. So it wasn't just a me thing, but at the same time, yeah, because I honestly think because a bunch of the people in it already didn't want to do it when they started out, it definitely took down the cast a little bit, and nobody liked it. So
What did that do for the beneficial chaos? Was there any, or was it just like
that year there wasn't very much beneficial chaos. It was mostly just things were breaking, people were crying. It just wasn't too much of anything.
were you crying?
I was not crying, no.
I think Cale is usually a big part in the beneficial chaos because he likes to bring a lot of energy and bring a lot of weird and bring a lot of just like construction to different spaces. So the fact that he wasn't into it and the fact that the other big players, the other big like characters were not into it was just, that sounds like an interesting year. And it was an
Yeah.
interesting musical.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. If you're going to be doing anything, you got to surround yourself with people that care about what you care about and care about what you're doing, because it just adds some excitement to what's happening, whether on stage, on mission, in life.
Yeah, so I love telling this story. So I went from 4 lines to 1 line, and then The Little Mermaid was announced. And I was just like, I've been wanting to play Sebastian ever since I learned that The Little Mermaid Jr. existed. It was just like, I was like, anything that I can possibly do, I will do to get Sebastian.
So what did you do?
So that was the year that I got my motivation back, which definitely helped. The motivation is probably the main thing that helped me be able to perform on stage for people because I wanted to be that role so much. So I worked really hard to get the role. And all of that put together, and when you finally get to deserve it, when you come out of the auditions and the callback process, your name is on the cast list next to the role you wanted, that definitely helps boost yourself so you're able to perform in front of people. Because it's like, I wanted this, now I have to show people that I deserved it. So there's that level of it too, where it's just like, I don't know how to put it, but like maybe like overthinking in your head, maybe it's just like, well, if I got it now, I deserved it obviously, but like, what do I do now? So you have to show the audience that you can play that character. And my thing is, I don't really necessarily try to do this, but I always want to be like as big as I can be, and that usually results in me being the biggest and like the biggest on stage. And
Or in any room that Cale is in.
and I like being people, or I don't like being, but people usually peg me as their favorite character, which was definitely weird for the next year when I did Shrek. And I definitely could never have done Shrek if it weren't for The Little Mermaid, because that boosted me into knowing that I could do things on stage for people. And so I went into the audition process. I tried as hard as I could because that's what gave me success the last year. I mean, I didn't audition for Pinocchio. I auditioned for Donkey, but at the same time, I'm still a freshman, so you never know what you're gonna get. But I tried as hard as I could, and I ended up getting, in the end, the highest role that a freshman got that year. And it was the 5th most prominent role behind like 2 juniors and 2 seniors. So it was very nice.
Nice. So I like that gradual growth over time of your confidence, that like I actually do deserve to be here. I actually can do this. An amount of confidence that says, yeah, I might feel inconfident. I might not get this, but I'm going to give 110% because I'm worthy of this role. That's awesome. Anything else you'd like to tell us about plays or musicals, sorry, or operas?
It's fine. It's just, it can be anything. So I would like to dive into what makes something like a musical or a play so good.
Okay.
Or
bad.
on the other hand, what makes it bad. Yes.
I mean,
So
Cale has seen, like, he's started a collection of musicals he's seen. He's really starting to own his theater nerd. He's seen, like, at least, like, what, 10 musicals, including the ones you've been in, like Shrek and Hamilton and Sound of Music and a whole bunch.
yeah, I've seen a bunch of stuff, especially not as much as my peers, because I definitely got into the nerding gang a little bit late. Because I used to tell people that I'm a theater kid, but not a theater nerd. But now I can't even say that anymore because I watch musicals and listen to the music. So
Are you at the point where you like binge watch musicals late at night? Is that like are you at
Yes.
that level?
no, I'm at the level that I'm actively looking for musicals to watch, though.
Oh,
So I'm not at the
gotcha.
binging state yet. I'm trying to add up my library first so I can binge them.
You need to talk to Abby. She's got a collection. She loves musicals. So,
Anyway.
Cale, do you want to start with what makes a musical bad? Because throughout your theater experience, it sounds like you've had a kind of a mix of both, ranging from Shrek to Frozen.
Yes. So I would say the main things that make a musical bad is I don't know this to be sure in like Broadway productions or anything, but at least in my own world, like I already said, with the middle school musicals I did, the cast was so much stronger in Aladdin and The Little Mermaid, which made those shows so much better than Frozen because the cast just didn't want to be there. So it depends on and even on Broadway, usually those actors just try and get whatever they can get. So they just go and they audition for anything. So even if the people don't like the show, you probably aren't going to have as good of a show unless they're the people that can just be like, I'm going to do this because I want the audience to love it.
And that's hard to just pull together.
Yes, it is, because I'm one of the people that always want the audience to love it. But sometimes when you're a part of something like Frozen or the School One acts that I was in, it's really hard to do that, and people don't usually enjoy it as much. And then another thing, so I'm usually in the musical world, but I have done a couple plays, so I'm going to mostly talk about musicals here. So the main foundation thing is literally in the name, is the music. So if you don't have memorable or catchy songs in your musical, then there's probably not a very good chance that it's going to be very good. And on top of that, you have to write good characters at this, and those actors that are playing those characters have to be able to execute the way that those characters are supposed to be. So I'm going to dog on the SpongeBob SquarePants musical real quick.
That is my favorite musical of all time. I'm completely kidding. I have no idea that existed.
So yeah, I wanted to watch it because it sounded like really stupid, but at the same time it seemed interesting to me. And it's fine, like I'll watch it because it's kind of funny. And like some things they went for were kind of interesting because I don't think that there's a part of any show that's just 100% bad. I don't think any show is 100% bad. There's always some good parts in it. But I'm not talking about that right now. So in the SpongeBob musical, I'm going to be honest with you, I think there's only one good song, like really good song in that show. It's called Simple Sponge, and it's just like the main guy singing the song. And even that is not very catchy. So if your best song in your musical is not very catchy, people aren't going to remember it, and people aren't going to just like go around singing it, spreading it, and then like make it, because your songs can make the show better, even if your actors aren't too good. Usually that's not the case, but it can help. But when you have the songs dragging your cast down too, sometimes it doesn't help. Because there's one song in it, I think it's the second song, it's called No Control. The way that it's written, it's got like this really bassy, every note is like all the way down here.
Ooh.
It's not
Oh, it's not in a good way?
Not in a good way, because like the way it's saying, it's not supposed to be down there, because like it jumps around a little bit, but like I feel like it's supposed to be more in the middle range, so it doesn't help. And honestly, it's
So it's just based on bass on bass?
yeah, and you're super distracted because, at least for me, who listens to a lot of music and watches quite a bit of musicals, I'm watching it and I'm more distracted by how bad the song sounds than how the world is progressing inside of the musical. So there's that.
Can you give us a musical breakdown of the song "Let It Go" from Frozen? What is the problem with that?
What is the problem with Let It Go?
It's played too much.
So yes, Milo is correct. It is played way too much. Do not ever do that to any song, because I honestly feel bad to the artists that write those kinds of songs. Like, sure, it makes them a lot of money, but at the same time, it'll probably fall off faster. I mean, that didn't happen with Let It Go, but most of the time it usually falls off faster. Like, I've heard stories. There's one song, I think it's called Crazy. They literally pulled it off of the markets because people played it so much. They were like, we don't want our song being remembered in such a bad light, that they pulled it off of the markets because people played it too much.
That's incredible. So you gave us like two really good examples of things that make musicals not so good. What made you get through that? Because I know Frozen was kind of a low point in your musical career. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure, musical career. What helped you get through that to push on?
My main motivation is being able to let the audience enjoy what you're doing. So, but you also have to enjoy it at the same time. And I think that I personally feed off of the audience, the way that they help. And I think a lot of actors are that way. Because, like, if you're doing a comedic show like we did Shrek, the more the audience is laughing with you, it's like the more that you want to make them laugh. So there was one scene, I'll get back to Frozen later, but there was one scene in Shrek where I was Pinocchio and I'm supposed to go up to Shrek, and there's like a long, awkward silence pause after everybody on stage was laughing at other people's jokes. So I go up and I'm supposed to like say this thing that's not supposed to be a joke, but I think it's a joke. Like my character thinks it's a joke. So everybody's like awkwardly staring at me, and I'm awkwardly staring back, and then the entire audience is just dying of laughter because of the awkward silence. And so it's happened a couple times. So instead of looking at the cast like I was supposed to, I felt like it was more natural to look directly at the audience and just be like, I think one of my lines was, "What, am I wrong?" Because it's just like the more interaction with the audience, the more that they feel like they're there. So I like when the audience enjoys it. So that is a big thing for like with Frozen. Even though you don't like the show, you want to make the audience still like feel like they want to be there. Because Mila can vouch for this. Her and the rest of our family, we all watched Annie last year. And it was just like there were so many things in that show that just made you just like, why am I even watching this? Because it just wasn't like all the things put together. It just didn't really work. And that's never good when your audience doesn't help. And sure, it was a small audience because it was COVID. So it was hard for the actors and the audience to both bounce off of each other in that format, which I think is one of the best things for a performance. Because I will 100% say to you that most of the performances that I've done have been 10 times better than most of the rehearsals, because people in rehearsal just like, okay, I'm here to rehearse now, woohoo. But when they see the audience out there, they're just like, well, they need to enjoy this. So they just try to make it as good as they can.
I mean, that's the same concept for like movies too. Like whenever you go to the theater and watch Spider-Man, for instance, it's way better than if you watch it at home, because like the movie theater is literally interacting with the movie. The audience is loving it so much, and that's why they do the things that they do.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think you can even transport this to like public speaking or just anytime you're in front of an audience. Like the people are sitting there for a reason. Like they actually want to be there, surprisingly, whether you think so or not. So like, have fun, let them enjoy it.
Right. Like in my experience, most people, they don't like getting up on stage because they like think in their brain, they're just like, oh my gosh, these people up here are judging me. I don't like this. I don't like all the stares. And it's just like, no, they're not here to judge you. They're here to be entertained or to know whatever, like if, like you said with public speaking, they want to hear whatever you have to say. Most of the time, like I would say 98% of the audience is there just to be entertained.
Yeah.
Because that is my main thing is I like watching movies and TV and things like that and musicals because I want to be entertained. That's why I don't usually watch stuff like horror movies. I'm usually like a cartoon person or an action person because I love to be entertained. And that's why people go and watch things, is to be entertained, not to just sit there and stare and judge you. So honestly, like you said before, your main question was how do you like conquer the fear of stage fright? It's just don't think something that's not true about the audience.
Yeah, most of the time they like woke up in the morning, they got dressed, and then they decided to go to where you're at to hear you talk. Like they want to hear what you have to say, and you have something valuable to say. Now, what makes a play good? Because we've already torn Frozen to shreds at this point.
Yes. So I think the thing that makes your play good is when you disappear within the story and the art and the world that they are trying to create for you.
So immersion is what we're talking
Yes. So my favorite show personally is Newsies. And the best part about Newsies is every single character that's on stage, like every single actor is doing something constantly. So even while like the two or three main characters are talking to each other, like the rest of the Newsies in the background are like messing with each other, doing different things, acting like kids like they're supposed to. So while you're watching this, you feel like you're actually like witnessing something that actually is happening instead of actors.
What's a newsie? Is that a genre? Is that a play?
So what Newsies is it's about like the progressives in the child labor laws, and Newsies are people that gave out newspapers. And basically the plot of the show is the big bads, like the people that ran the newspaper, upped the price for the Newsies. So the newspaper would get more money, but the Newsies are all kids. And there's no way that we're going to be able to survive anymore because most of them don't even have their parents. There's no way we're going to be able to survive anymore if we have to pay this much just to sell more newspapers. And it was just, so it's supposed to be teaching history, but at the same time, like you're enjoying what you're watching because honestly, some history can be boring. I'm not even going to like masquerade it as like it's not.
Yeah, 1200s Europe is, wow, that's boring. I feel
Yeah.
like.
So,
I don't know why I thought of like 11th century Europe. Be like, yeah, that's pretty lame.
anyways,
I feel like we made one person mad who's like really into ancient medieval history.
yeah.
We apologize. Kill him.
So the way that you want to go about it is in shows like Newsies and in Hamilton, which you've seen Hamilton. It's just you want people to feel like that actually happened, like it did actually happen. So you want them to realize that it actually happened, and you want them to feel like they're watching it unfold the way that it did before. And when you put music in there, it just makes it more powerful. So the music and the story and the characters, when they all feed off of each other to strengthen the show and make it better, and usually it goes gradually and grows as the show goes on, because I know there's some shows out there, I can't name any specific ones, but like they usually start out with the more mellow songs, and as it goes, it grows. And that's in a lot of just the songs themselves, like not like the songs generally, like all of them collectively, like just one song. Most Broadway shows, they start out where this person's singing like pretty quietly, like if you guys have seen The Greatest Showman, at the end, From Now On, I think the song is called, he starts out like singing pretty quietly in the bar, and then as the song progresses, he is like screaming at the end and just like really powerfully singing. And so that's the best part about the show, is when you can see that like coming together and strengthening, just not only in the songs but with everything together. It's just amazing. And then it comes together to become a real result, and it's just like you don't even feel like you watched a musical. You feel like you were a part of a story. That's what makes anything honestly good, but it's what I like about musicals.
Brad. I think we've talked a lot about musicals,
I think we have.
and we're not even halfway done. We're going to take a short break, get some water, get some chocolate. drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a minute.
We are back from our water, chocolate, coffee break. And Cale is still here. We obviously can talk forever and ever and ever about musicals and just like play structure and how passionate Cale is about that. But he's also passionate about a different kind of music that we would also like to talk about, and that is Christian rap music.
So, Cale, what is in the script? It's abbreviated CHH. What's that?
So CHH is basically it's a subgenre of CCM, which means Christian contemporary music. So what CHH stands for is Christian hip hop. So it has a bunch of different things. It doesn't necessarily have to be rap music. Most of the time it's dominated by rap music because that's the people who go into the industry are rappers. But it can also be things like producers that make hip hop kind of music, but they don't like rap on top of it. So it can be like a hip hop beat, or it can be anything like that. Like even R&B sometimes falls under the Christian hip hop category. And sometimes even like weird stuff falls under Christian hip hop, even though it probably shouldn't. Like I think there's like some punk rock people that fall under Christian hip hop, but most of the time the thing that makes it Christian hip hop is obviously the first word. It's got to be like Christian people, Christian music, and if it's not Christian people, they usually started out Christian in some way. Like there's some people that don't want to be labeled by the Christian industry, but they did some things with like Christian people, so they kind of got categorized in the Christian hip hop industry.
So it's a pretty wide-reaching bubble that incorporates a lot of things.
Yeah, it's very hard to like describe exactly what it is, but yeah.
But yeah, Cale, how much do you love CHH?
Well, I like it a lot. I I don't really know what else to say. I listen to CHH all the time. I actively try and listen, or not listen, but look for more artists and a bunch of other stuff. So
Let me tell you about how much Cale loves CHH. He has this one talent that I'm obsessed with seeing him do. If you play 5 seconds of any Christian hip hop music, first 5 seconds of the clip, lyrics, no lyrics, just the beat, he can usually identify it down to the album, pretty much.
usually
And the artist and any artist featured on the song.
any artist. Sometimes there's like some pretty obscure people.
All right, so I've got a playlist here that Cale created for me a long time ago. Well, actually, he created it for Jen Warner, and then I stole it. But we're going to do some CHH rapid fire. Cale, are you ready?
Yeah, just make sure you play it loud enough for me to hear it.
All right, we're gonna do a test run real quick to see if this works.
Right now.
It's Deep End by Lecrae.
All right, we're 1 for 1.
It's on Restoration if you want to know.
I don't do
It's
them
coming in
wrongs,
hot,
but I
Andy
do it
Mineo and
live.
Lecrae. It's on a
Some
crap
of
ton
them
of
songs,
albums because they like that song a lot.
Here we go.
Live Forever, it's by 116. It has Wande, Tadashi, Aaron Cole, Holvey, let's see, Tommy Royale, and let's see, 1K Few and Triple-E.
You got all of those.
There's a lot of people on it, so
All right.
I might hesitate a little bit.
Oh, we gotta find one that's really. Oh, okay. I'm giving you like 1 second of this one.
That is Fieldhouse Freestyle by No Big Deal. It has DJ Mike LV talking in it, but he's not put on the feature, and it also has featured 1K Few. It's on lowercase tape.
The fact that this isn't even listed on Spotify.
Yeah, that was just a fun fact. That literally isn't on Spotify.
I have to include some things.
All right, I'm going deep. Okay, here we go.
That is probably my favorite song by NF. It's Lost, and it has Hobson on it.
Ooh, there we go. All right.
Oh boy. That is like some weird Spanish name. It's like El Higo del Pastor or something like that. It's by the one who will not be named.
If you can't tell by our faces, okay, listen. Cale has not listened to Gavi in like a year because he has left the 116 click. He has not heard this song. He just took a random guess at the name. He got it 100% in the first 2 seconds. Okay.
Ben literally stood up and walked away with his hands on his head. I know you couldn't see that, but
I'm so mad right now. How do you do this, Cale? How?
I
do
listen
not
to
win this
music
game.
way too much.
No.
How many hours a week do you
I'm
listen
ready
to
at every turn.
How many hours a week do you listen to CHH?
Too many. Let's put it that way. Too many.
I don't think he ever really turns it off. If we're being fair here. He stays up every single Thursday night, which is technically Friday. Friday morning, yeah, at midnight, and listens to all of the new released songs. He compiles them in a playlist, and then every single time he's in my car or any car, he plays his playlist. Ben steals his playlist for energy. Like, this is
serious.
I'm a scholar.
Cale, will you inform our audience about the weekly playlist? What is that?
So the weekly playlist is basically my way of trying to share music with other people, and other people's usually Ben. But it's also so I'm able to hear it. So whenever I see that a new song has come out on a Friday, I add it to Ben's weekly playlist that I make for him. And it depends on whether or not the Friday is good or not, because usually you can like rate the Fridays on whether or not they release like a bunch of good music, a bunch of meh music, a bunch of garbage music, or just like a mix between the two. And
yeah, can we talk about this week's playlist for a second? This is kind of like tangential. Yeah, it's not one of the good ones.
it's not. Yeah, it's not great.
I listened like there's like, let's see how long it is. I'm scrolling through it.
I think it's
right
like
now.
an hour long.
It's 58 minutes of music. It's kind of one of the short ones. I don't think there were any album drops this week.
No, not any of note. Anyways, there was, but
Yeah, so it was okay. Ooh, I didn't see there's a new Kyrian release though. Is that any good?
it's fine. It just sounds like the rest of his music.
Okay, so above average.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's either hit or miss. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's 3 hours. Sometimes there's whole albums.
Yeah, there was 1 week, I think it was one of the first weeks I made him a playlist. It was, so 3 albums came out that were pretty of high note, and one of them on there became one of my favorites pretty quickly. So that was a week that I listened to his playlist instead of just like left it there for him to listen to. And I think it was close to 3 hours because there were 3 albums among the singles that released that week too. It's crazy.
Yeah, he set a really high bar because I was like, Cale, you make me a playlist? He's like, yeah. And he slapped me with like 3 hours of music. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for this. A hallmark of the weekly playlist is a cringy photo he takes of me.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite thing.
Every single week. And now we even have a spin-off. Will you tell them about the album combo?
Yes. So I made a playlist. This was originally for myself, but it has become a thing just so I can get Ben to listen to a few albums that I've picked up. So originally it was because like a bunch of good albums were dropping at the same time. Like Andy Mineo came out with Neverland 2. Lecrae and 1K Few came out with No Church in a While, and I think there was another one. Oh yeah, Holvey came out with Coma. So I like compiled those all into one playlist so I didn't have to like try and fiddle around with everything. So I just like put it in one playlist so I could listen to all the songs on shuffle because I loved all the songs, pretty much all of the songs on the album so much. So that was what the original intent was for. And then so every summer I like to do something where I listen to a new CHH album that I haven't either heard all the way through or haven't heard at all. Each day I like to do that. So I was like, why don't I put some of my favorites that I've heard, put them in this playlist that I already created, and then send them to Ben so he can listen to them as well. More music sharing, which is a great part of music, like I mentioned before, is the community.
Yeah, I don't know, from CHH, there's just so much, okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's so much life in the lyrics, in the words, in the beats. It just makes everything feel more alive when I listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you get out of CHH? Well, why is that your genre of choice that you kind of dedicate your daily listening time to?
Before we talk about this, I just want to drop in the fact that Cale, the music is alive because it's Christian music, and a lot of times it's really good or it's really bad. But it's not important. But Cale is able to bring it to life because he is able to perform it, and he is able to know all the words and know all the songs. And my favorite example of this is at the talent show at our high school.
We almost skipped this. Whoops.
Freshman year, Cale. This was this year. He decided,
Cale is
hey,
just grinning seriously right now, oh.
He decided, hey, I want to be in the talent show and I want to perform a rap song. And so he did. He auditioned. Everyone loved it. That people were coming up to me who are on student council, who runs the talent show, before the talent show even happened. They're like, your brother is so cool. He's he auditioned, and I'm like, I think he's gonna win the talent show. Is that your brother? It's just that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, that's my little brother. He's super cool. And then the day of the talent show, I invited all my friends. I'm like, we have to go see this. We have to go see Cale perform. He's gonna rap for the whole school. It's gonna be the greatest thing ever. And I told my friend Crystal, I'm like, you need to record this because they're not recording this at all, and my mom needs to see this. And so we sat there. He was like, you were what, the fifth performer?
I think it was exactly the fifth.
He was right in the middle. And so we were watching all the people before, and they were okay. One kid played hot cross buns on every single instrument, including a baby piano.
This is true.
Wait, what?
Yes, one of the toy pianos that are a cat. It was beautiful. It made my day. But that was great. And then Cale, the girl who performed right before Cale, I'm like, okay, listen, everybody, I got all my friends around me. I'm like, listen, Cale is up next, okay? We have to have the biggest cheering section. We have to all record. We have to roast him tomorrow whenever we see him because this is going to be the best thing ever.
Didn't hear about that part.
So he comes on stage, and the music starts playing, and then everyone nobody knows what to expect because they don't know Cale. And they don't know the song because it's a Christian hip-hop song and nobody else listens to it.
I am white, by the way.
Yes.
Very pasty white.
And this was Massillon City Schools talent show. It was great. So he comes on stage, the song starts playing, and then Cale just owns it. He walks back and forth. He interacts with the audience. He's completely performing his heart out on stage. All of my friends are screaming. They're like, oh my gosh, this is your brother? He's the coolest thing ever. And they're like, what is he doing? I didn't know he could rap like this. Did he write this song? What's going on? And then at the end of the song, Cale got a standing ovation, and everyone was cheering and screaming and coming up to me after being like, oh my gosh, that's insane. I didn't know he was your brother. And then he ended up winning the talent show and becoming the most popular kid in school for an entire week. And it was great.
I just want to let the audience listening to this know that I in no way thought that I was going to win this talent show. I literally, I didn't even realize I got a standing ovation because the moment the song ended, I literally walked off of stage.
You should have done a mic drop.
I was like, there's no way I'm winning this because I don't usually like when there's music acts in, I don't know, talent shows because to me, I see that all the time. And it's a talent that I can do, so usually I don't consider it a talent. So when I see people doing other things that I don't know how to do, play a bunch of instruments, even if it's just hot cross buns, I don't even know how to play those instruments. That to me seems like a lot more talent than I have. Or when people going up there dancing, it's just, I don't think I can do that. So I definitely did not think I was going to win the talent show.
Yeah, Cale, your talent's a talent. I think a lot of people discount their talents because it's something they can do, and they don't think that is important and that matters. But all of us have talents, and they all matter. So good job, Cale. I think my favorite part on the recording is you can hear the bass drop, the introduction, It's an Andy Mineo song, right?
Yes.
So I think there's like a 3-second pause delay between beat drop introduction to when the lyrics actually start. And in those 3 seconds, you can just see the crowd kind of like squirming a little bit, sitting like, is this going to be good? Is this going to be god awful? What's about to happen? And then they absolutely lose it. I want to say, I think here's my headcanon for why Cale walked off the stage so fast. It's because he was absolutely winded by the end of the performance.
I was pretty tired.
You can hear it like halfway through. He has to like skip a few lines so he can actually catch his breath.
Okay, I did not do that.
No, but you
every
could definitely
word.
hear him needing to breathe.
Yes.
But
Yeah. It was good.
honestly, it added to the performance. It was great.
Yeah, you put all your heart, mind, and soul into that. That was incredible. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So, back to Christian hip hop. Can you repeat your question, please?
Oh, what is it that makes you so passionate about Christian hip hop?
Okay, so what makes me so passionate about Christian hip hop is the reason I like it over like other Christian genres specifically.
What other Christian genres are you? As someone who didn't grow up in the Christian bubble of media, I just now started watching VeggieTales as a 27-year-old. I know, I'm sorry, but Amelia will have VeggieTales, and that's okay. What makes it different from all the other genres? What other genres are out there?
So, the Christian music industry is like it's growing pretty fast, and it's been growing fairly fast over the past few years because you always have different artists that are like, well, they have that in the secular world. Why can't I make a Christian version of that? So there's always like I've seen things like Christian horror punk or something like that. It's really weird.
That's rad.
But that's not one of the main ones. There's usually the main ones are like normal Christian contemporary music. The stuff that if you turned on a radio station like around here, I think it's The Fish.
Yes.
And in other places, it's usually like Caleb. If you were to turn that on, you're going to get like the same kind of music, just like some guy or girl with a guitar or something singing a song just out. And that's usually what
sounds
you
kind of
get
like country
off
music,
of like radio. It's some of it's country music, but it's usually about like the same kind of thing. And then there is Christian country music, which is usually a lot more like genuine country, which is not my kind of thing. It's personally just I don't like it. I don't really have much of a reason behind it. Like I have a reason why I don't really like the radio stuff. It's way too slow and samey.
I was gonna say, give us your spicy take.
Yeah. So and then there's obviously Christian rock, which is usually pretty good. Like the main one,
Red.
yeah, is Skillet. That's the one that most people know, even in the not Christian world. Which I always like when people do that because you have people in the rap world like NF and Lecrae and Andy Mineo that put themselves out there in both the Christian and the secular worlds to try and spread things out.
And they're just authentically themselves. They're not like hiding that they're Christian. They're just like, here's who I am. Here's my music.
Right. So contemporary country, rock, and rap are usually the main four that are in Christian music, at least that I've experienced.
What about Christian polka music?
I have not heard any Christian polka music.
Then you need to start that. That's your goal for this year.
Christian polka. I'm inventing a new genre of music. All right.
Yeah, but the main reason, honestly, that I like rap over the rest of the genres is because it's faster, I guess, because I like faster-paced music because, like I said before, when I'm on stage, I love to be full of energy. I love when things have energy in them, and I'm also, like, full of energy always as a person. So that's why I like rap music, because it conveys so much energy, and honestly, that's usually when songs are bad when they don't have that energy. But that's not even a part of my main 5 things that I like about rap music, which I will get into.
Oh,
right
yeah. Let's get into that. Cale has an entire criteria of what makes the playlist and what doesn't.
And just for some context, he came up with this list when we were just walking around our neighborhood, and I asked him, like, what makes a song good enough for you to like, to have on your playlist? Like, how do you classify the good Christian rap music with the maybe not good Christian rap music, because there's some songs that are like really ridiculous, and there are some artists who I very dislike, like not Clyde, but
Hey, we
are-
don't need to name drop here.
I'm sorry.
Bible going viral.
I'm sorry.
I think that's in Cale's like top 3 all time play.
It is. It's not because it's good, because it's not. It's not a good song, but it's catchy and it's kind of funny. So I listen to it way too much.
That's right.
Because for me, when I have a song stuck in my head, I like to learn it, and then that usually gets me a lot of plays on the song. So anyway, diving into what makes a Christian rap song good, in my opinion, is I have 5 things, and they don't always have to have this to make a good song or a song that I like to listen to necessarily, but usually when these things build off of each other, that just makes me love it a lot. So the 5 things would be skill, speed, musicality, originality, and lyrics.
Those are some big words.
I mean, I guess if you could say that. So
Skill's a whole 5 letters, Cale.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I say things that are way too big for people to understand. I'm sorry. I apologize. So, number 1, we will start off with skill, which definitely makes or breaks the song, because if you don't have any skill while you're making your music, who's going to want to listen to it? Because it's going to sound like trash.
Are you talking skill like the beats, the flow, the rhythm?
I would say as a rapper, the main thing that qualifies as skill is if you're able to like write along with side the music. It's usually the rest of the things that I mentioned, like coming together as one thing, that like makes skill. But you can be skilled without having a few of those other things. Like there are some artists like Bats that I listen to, and one of the most famous ones, I think, J. Cole does this, I'm pretty sure. Like they are really good at writing rhymes and making things come together. Like I would say that that's a skill, being able to write rhymes together, making poetry, being able to tell a story, but you don't necessarily need to have it work together with the music for that to work.
So this is the skill is talking about their ability to make rhythm rap without, if you stripped away all the music, all of the fanfare, everything behind it would still be good.
Yes, if they are able to, that is a very good way to put it, actually. I didn't really think of that before. If you were to take away all of the music and just have them right there and they could still be able to carry a show, I think that that counts as a lot of skill right there, which usually happens with the more lyrical people, which is a lot of things. But I will get to that later since it is number 5.
Yes.
So next I will do speed, which in Christian rap is usually fairly hard to find. There's some people that do it like KB, Andy Mineo, and NF. They usually do speed, but not all the time. But the main thing about speed is it doesn't need to be in a song to make it good. This is usually just a personal thing that I like because...
So speed doesn't mean like a default of fast. It doesn't mean like they're blazing through it really quickly.
Yes, so speed is basically like the faster you're able to talk and get through the lyrics is the way that I like to say it, because my main thing with rap music is the main reason I like it is because I want to learn it. And so being able to talk really fast is always super fun to try and learn, which is why that's a personal thing to me, is I like this speed. But obviously not very many Christian songs, at least the very good ones, don't have that speed aspect.
Yeah, I don't think Christian speed rap has developed as a genre yet. I think it's getting there.
Maybe, you never know.
We need our own version of Watsky. That's what we need.
I don't know what that is.
Spoken word poet, once held the record for fastest spoken word. Pretty cool. I listened to him a lot in high school. But yeah, tangential.
Okay, and then, so yeah, that's not a very big one, but that's just a personal thing that I like because I like to learn, like I already said. So number 3 is musicality.
What is musicality?
That's probably the biggest one, in my opinion, because if you want your song to sound good, you need to sound good with the song, if that makes any sense. So there's a group out there, it's called Social Club Misfits. So they have two people on it. One of them is Marty, the other one is Fern. So they both
Fern
have
like the plant.
yeah, like the plant.
Rad.
So they both have their different strengths. So Fern is really good at crafting rhymes and making like lyrics and making things be able to fit together. And Marty is really good at being able to go along with the beat in the song, which I think honestly brings the group down because they both have their separate strengths and they don't really play off of each other well, which
Okay.
kind of brings down the song. But like usually when Marty makes a song, it sounds better because he's more musical, because he's able to make it go along with the beat and he's able to not just say rhymes on the beat, he's actually able to go along with it. And because there's a lot of rappers out there like Fern, a part of the group, he just kind of says things while the beat's behind him and he doesn't really go along with it. So like if your beat is progressing in a certain way but you're going a lot slower than the beat is going, it doesn't sound right. So that's usually what makes a song good, and that's usually why I don't like Social Club. But
Wow, I enjoy Social Club. So musicality, is this really talking about the unity of the music, that the flow, the beat, and the lyrics all flow together and kind of they're working together, as opposed to being like three different things that are all kind of stitched together.
yes, that is like going back to what I've said further back in the episode is it's just everything needs to build off of itself to be able to strengthen itself and just grow as it goes on. And usually if you don't have the musicality aspect, the song is not as good. And I don't think I have, and if I have a single song, it's like just because the lyrics are really good probably. But I don't think I have a single song in my playlist that isn't like well musically that way, because I just don't like it when people are just saying rhymes over a beat because it just doesn't really sound good.
Yeah.
So
Right.
number 4 is originality.
Cale hates it. He does not like most Christian contemporary music because a lot of the times it's just repeating the same lines over and over. And Cale is not a fan of repetition in that kind of way, and he is also not. It's very important to him that people are basic in their lyrics and their creations.
Or their life, you know? Cale, what is your opinion on, and this is tangential, what is your opinion on camp music?
On camp music,
Yeah, so like
like
traditional,
wild side music or like campfire music.
like Wild Side, Ruach, those type of experience musics.
I think that they're good for the environment because you have a group of people and they're all able to sing along with it. That's why those songs usually get popular, because everybody, like almost everybody in the world, is going to know the hook or chorus, some people might call it, to your song. Like, for example, Baby by Justin Bieber is a favorite at Wildside, at least by the person who plays it. And everybody pretty much knows the chorus of that song, which usually can help build a community with people because they all know it, and it's just that. So, I mean, I personally don't like it because pretty much the only lyric in that song is the word baby, and it's really annoying, but
Cool. So we're talking about originality
Yes.
and not being basic.
originality. So originality has a few different aspects to it. So it's just, do you sound different than other people? Which a lot of Christian rappers might not necessarily sound different from each other, but they usually have different flows and different like things that they do to set them apart from other people. Like there's a really small artist that I like. His name is Mike Teasy. He likes to both sing and rap and like switch up things in the song quite a few times. And that's what I like about him, is because he makes that different from other people who might just rap in their certain style or things. Because usually every rapper has a different style. Sometimes there's other people that sound similar with their styles, and usually I like one and I don't like the other. So, but there's also the bad part of originality is when you try and be too original that your music is bad.
You got an example for that?
Yes, I do. And Mila mentioned it earlier. His name is not Clyde.
Not Clyde.
Yes, his name is not Clyde. Like
Well,
it's
that's
not,
original.
It's weird. Yes, He has an original name, he has an original style, but the problem is the way that he delivers his music and is just so cringy and just annoying and terrible. I don't even know how to put it, but it's
Is it
just
like
I'm not a fan. I'm really not.
is it like one of How Are You Doing, Fellow Kids type material?
no.
No, Cale, why don't you demonstrate?
I'm not gonna demonstrate.
You're not gonna drop us a line?
No,
Oh.
I won't. But
Does it give you like 40-year-old man trying to be cool with teenagers type
no,
vibe?
because he's pretty good at like making it seem. It's just the way that he delivers it. It's really cringy. I don't know how else to put it. It's just like he does like weird ad libs that just like make you like, I don't know, like shudder whenever you hear them because they're just like so cringy and bad. And it's like all of his lyrics are super cringe. It's super.
He's really going for originality.
But yeah, he just wants to sound so different. Like, and sure, I will praise you for trying to be different if you sound good. Because there are people out there like one of my favorite artists, 1K Few. He doesn't always make good songs, but like he sounds pretty different from almost everybody out there in the Christian hip hop industry anyways. I've heard that he sounds like secular artists, but I don't know secular artists very well.
I could say he kind of fits in that general mold.
Yeah, but he usually, in my opinion anyways, I think he sounds pretty good regularly whenever he's like trying to craft lyrics and like trying to put across a message, which a lot of artists can't even do, because he's really good at like making you understand what he's trying to tell you while also sounding different than the rest of the industry, which I really like about 1K Few. But not Clyde. He tries to do that, but just the way he delivers it, it just makes it less like, oh, you're telling me about the Bible. That's pretty cool. I want to keep listening to you. It's more like, what the heck are you doing? It's like, I don't even, it's just weird.
You get so caught up in him trying to be original that you miss what he's trying to tell you.
Right. But there's another thing that I want to add along to that is I think that the best part about it is, I'm going to be honest with you, most of the bad Christian artists out there are some of the ones that glorify God the most, which is one of the best things I honestly think is you do not need talent to be able to glorify God. As long as you're doing it for God, it doesn't really matter because God doesn't care if it's talent or not. He just cares if it's spreading his message out there.
That's awesome. Cale, what does it mean to glorify God? Because I think in our 21st century, we completely miss the point of glorifying God, and we turn it into a big performance and spectacular music and light, sound, fog machine.
Sometimes we forget to put the God in the glorifying God.
Right. So I think that the best way to say it is, so there's another Christian rapper out there. His name's KB. So I went to one of his concerts last year at a live music festival, and one of the things he said is, if you walk out of here and do not remember me, I do not care. But if you remember the Jesus that I talked about, that is all that matters. Because it's just, you're not there for you. The audience is not supposed to be taking in what you are doing. You are supposed to be doing it for God. So as long as your audience can see that you're doing it for God and not for you, I think that is what truly glorifying God looks like.
Yeah, I think it really is just making it tangible so other people can actually see it.
Yes.
Using your gifts in order to like show that God works in everything.
100%. And I think a lot of times we completely miss that. And I've heard it, glorifying God is kind of a hard thing to understand because God is so big. It's like staring at the stars. Glorifying God is like putting a telescope on the stars so you can actually see that a tangible, real God exists in our world through people and through what he created. So,
yeah, and I think that goes well into the next point, number 5, which is lyrics. So a lot of the big part that makes Christian rap music Christian is what they say in their songs, is the lyrics. So a lot of the times they try and craft rhymes around what they're trying to tell you about God, or what they're trying to tell you about the Bible and different things like that, which when they work with that and craft it together, that usually comes together really well. Like there's a song with KB and No Big Deal called King Jesus, and it's all about how all they need in their life is Jesus. So they craft that around like things that they do in their lives and like things about them that they I don't know, like intertwine with the message of Jesus, and while saying that all they need is Jesus. So there's that where they have it good, but again, I'm going to bring up Not Clyde and Caleb Gordon. I think the main thing.
Cale has got like a axe to grind against Not Clyde.
Well, it's not just Not Clyde. There's another artist out there which I honestly like less than Not Clyde. His name is Caleb Gordon. He is very on fire for God, and you can tell that he loves making music for Jesus, and it's amazing. But the way that he crafts his lyrics, it's more like, why in the world would you do that to get your message across? Because it sounds more like you're not trying enough, like hard enough to make us want to read the Bible and stuff like that. Like there's one line that he says is, I don't need a blicky on me, I get the Spirit for free, or something like that. And it's just like, what's the point of that? It doesn't make any sense why you said that. Like, that's just cringy. It's just really weird.
It creates no motivation in the audience to actually do anything with that. It doesn't make us think. It doesn't make us feel. It doesn't inspire us.
Yes, and that is the best thing about when a good lyric is crafted. It makes you think about it. It can hit you in a certain way, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be about God to be a good lyric. But like, as long as it's crafted well and works well with the rest of the song and works with the rhymes and everything, that's what makes a good lyric. And that's very hard to find in most Christian rap music. And that's what makes the top people in the industry, like Lecrae, Andy Mineo, KB, No Big Deal, people like them, is their wordsmanship and the things that they're able to put together so you can get that message or get that rhyme together. And it's just, that's one of the biggest things, and that's honestly what can make or break your career.
What's one lyric that's been very profound that you're just like, wow, that just made me think?
I don't really know any right now.
Yeah, I kind of put you on the spot. It's all good.
There's so many lyrics I hear that it's just hard to just pick a specific one, and I can't really think of any because there's so many. So
yeah, you have like 3 hours worth of CHH on your brain at any given time. So I get it. Oh my goodness, yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to tell us about CHH? Anything you want to tell the audience that they can better appreciate, understand, and know CHH?
So I don't know necessarily about that, but there's something that I saw on Instagram the other day that it was like very profound. It said something about like, so in the Bible, God gave Solomon a lot of wisdom. And so he made proverbs about a bunch of different things that weren't necessarily all spiritual. He made things about like the land and a bunch of things around that. So in Christian hip hop music, this is what the thing said that I was reading. It said, because that's what it was based off of. You don't necessarily need to talk about Jesus all the time, but you definitely should incorporate it in there with everything you do. Because a lot of Christian rappers, like especially Andy Mineo, he likes to talk about like things like basketball and stuff like that. So if you're a Christian listening to this, I just want you to realize that it is not sinful to talk about other things in a Christian song, but as long as the person is saved and is living by the grace of God, I guess. That's the main thing that I want to say is don't, because this is the worst thing that I see in the Christian music industry all the time, is so many people just like, I guess, shun rappers because they're just like, you only said Jesus twice in that song and I wanted you to say it 5 times. What's wrong with you? It's just like, can you calm down? They're trying to make good art for Jesus, and Jesus is strengthening them, and it's just like, you don't need to do this. I don't know how else to put it.
No, I think you're on point, man. Like, glorify God. Cale, you just said a lot of things that are really good that I think we as just Christians, whether we enjoy Christian hip hop or not, can really sit on that glorifying God isn't about what you produce or what even the expectations that we put around glorifying God. Like, it's just about us wanting to bring God into our lives and experience it in real time. On the basketball court, in our music, in our arts,
in our schools, in our church, in walking down the street, driving your car especially. I'm just saying.
Just don't pray with your eyes closed while you're driving your car.
Yeah, that would be bad. I'm just
100%. Please don't do that.
honestly, though, they might be a better driver than me still at that point.
This is true.
Cale, Mila, I think we knocked it out of the park today.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, and I don't know what we're talking about next week, but you can join us on that. I could talk forever. Hopefully it won't be an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, it's Adam Bayless. We're shooting for a record. Hour and a half. He's talking about how college ministry has completely upended his life. So listen for that. And then, listeners, this is I Could Talk Forever. Now go glorify God wherever you are and whatever you're doing, however you can bring God into what you're doing, do it.
And don't stop talking.
Don't stop talking about Jesus.
Peace.
Peace.